The first-class cabin of Skyline Air Flight 237 buzzed with the usual pre-takeoff energy. Marcus Washington settled into seat 3A, wearing simple jeans and a navy button-down, nothing that screamed "I own this entire airline." At 42, his success had come through determination, brilliance, and the ability to remain level-headed in difficult situations. Today, he was flying incognito, part of his quarterly routine to experience Skyline Air as a regular passenger would. "Quality check," he murmured to himself, sliding his carry-on under the seat. The leather bag contained contracts worth millions, but Marcus carried it with the casual air of someone transporting gym clothes. He gazed out the window at the ground crew, his crew, efficiently preparing the aircraft. There was pride in his eyes, remembering how he'd built Skyline from a two-plane regional carrier into the fifth-largest airline in the country. Marcus took a deep breath, savoring the familiar scent of the cabin. This particular aircraft, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, was the newest addition to his fleet. The cabin's soft blue lighting and spacious design reflected his vision: travel with dignity, regardless of who you are. Little did he know, his commitment to that vision would be tested today. Right here on his own plane, Valerie Lewis strode through the first-class cabin with practiced efficiency, her platinum blonde hair pulled into a severe bun. She offered warm smiles and attentive service to passengers in 1A through 2D. When she reached Marcus, her demeanor changed instantly, her smile vanished, replaced by a tight-lipped expression. "Drink?" she asked curtly, not meeting his eyes. "Coffee please, black with 1 sugar," Marcus replied pleasantly. Valerie nodded without acknowledgement and moved to the next passenger, a white businessman in 3B. "Good morning, sir. What can I get for you today? We have a lovely selection of beverages, including our premium coffee blend." Marcus noticed the stark difference but maintained his composure, quietly observing the interaction. When Valerie returned with drinks, she placed the businessman's coffee gently on his tray with a napkin and small biscuit. She practically dropped Marcus's cup, sloshing hot liquid onto his tray. "Sorry," she muttered insincerely, not offering to clean it or providing a napkin. Throughout the meal service, the pattern continued. Valerie checked repeatedly on other first-class passengers. "Is everything to your satisfaction? Can I get you anything else?" Yet she bypassed Marcus entirely, as if his seat were empty. When he pressed his call button for water, Valerie approached with visible annoyance. "Yes," she asked sharply. "May I have some water, please?" "We're busy with turbulence preparations," she said, though the flight was smooth and other attendants were serving drinks. "You'll have to wait." Marcus nodded calmly, making mental notes of each interaction. This wasn't his first experience with discrimination, and he'd long ago learned that maintaining dignity often meant strategic patience. The flight had been airborne for 30 minutes when the situation deteriorated rapidly. Marcus accidentally knocked over his water glass, spilling it onto his tray but not on the floor. Before he could reach for napkins, Valerie rushed over. "Sir, you need to control yourself," she announced loudly, her voice carrying through the cabin. Several passengers looked up, startled by her harsh tone. "I apologize. It was just an accident," Marcus responded calmly, already blotting the spill with his handkerchief. "This is first class," Valerie continued, raising her voice unnecessarily. "We expect certain standards of behavior here." A woman across the aisle frowned. It was clearly an accident. "Why are you making such a scene?" Valerie ignored her, leaning closer to Marcus. "I've had several complaints about you being disruptive," she lied, her words deliberate and pointed. "That's simply not true," Marcus said firmly. "I've been sitting quietly since takeoff." The businessman in 3B spoke up. "That's correct. This gentleman hasn't bothered anyone." Valerie's face flushed with anger. "I need to ensure the comfort of all our premium passengers," she insisted, then turned and strode to the front cabin phone. Minutes later, the lead flight attendant appeared with the air marshal, approaching Marcus's seat with concerned expressions. "Sir, I understand there's been a disturbance," the marshal asked, hand resting cautiously on his hip. Around them, passengers began murmuring in disagreement, several recording the interaction on their phones. The air marshal shifted uncomfortably as several passengers protested simultaneously. "This man has been completely respectful," said a woman in 2D. "It's the flight attendant who's been unprofessional," added another passenger. Marcus remained seated, his expression calm despite the humiliation of the situation. He reached slowly into his inner jacket pocket and removed a sleek business card, handing it to the marshal. "My name is Marcus Washington. I'm the founder and CEO of Skyline Airlines. This is my aircraft." The marshal's eyes widened as he examined the card, then quickly stepped back. The lead flight attendant gasped audibly, her hand flying to her mouth. Around them, passengers began whispering and pointing. Valerie stood frozen, her face draining of color as the revelation rippled through the cabin. The confidence that had fueled her behavior evaporated instantly. "I believe we should continue this conversation in private," Marcus suggested, standing with quiet authority. "I'd prefer not to disrupt the flight further." The lead flight attendant nodded rapidly. "Of course, Mr. Washington. We can use the crew rest area." As they moved toward the front of the plane, the power shift was palpable. Crew members who had been indifferent now scrambled to appear attentive. Valerie trailed behind, her posture diminished, hands trembling slightly. "Mr. Washington, I had no idea," she began, but Marcus raised his hand gently. "Let's discuss this properly," he said, his voice steady but firm. "Not here in the aisle." The cockpit door opened slightly, the captain peeking out with concern, then recognition dawning on his face as he spotted the company's founder walking toward him. In the quiet crew rest area, away from passenger eyes, Marcus sat across from Valerie, the lead flight attendant, and the captain. Tension hung heavy in the air. "I should fire you on the spot," Marcus began, his voice measured. Valerie's eyes welled with tears, her career seemingly over. "But that's the easy solution, and easy solutions rarely create lasting change." She looked up, confusion replacing fear. "What happened today wasn't just about me," Marcus continued. "It happens to people who look like me every day, on planes they don't own, in situations where they have no recourse." Captain Reynolds shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Washington, on behalf of the crew, this isn't about apologies," Marcus interrupted gently. "It's about growth." "Valerie, why did you treat me differently today?" Her voice trembled. "I didn't realize. I didn't think I was." "That's exactly it," Marcus said. "Bias operates below our conscious awareness. But its impact is very real." 2 weeks later, Skyline Airlines launched its comprehensive Higher Ground initiative. Every employee, from baggage handlers to executives, underwent bias recognition training. Marcus shared his experience anonymously as a case study. Valerie, instead of being terminated, became an unlikely advocate. Standing before her colleagues during a training session, her voice no longer trembled. "I didn't see myself as prejudiced," she admitted. "But watching the recordings of my behavior that day was like seeing a stranger. A stranger I wasn't proud of." Marcus, sitting quietly in the back of the room, nodded encouragingly. 6 months later, Valerie knocked on Marcus's office door, clutching a folder. "Our passenger satisfaction scores are up 17%, she reported. "And complaints about discriminatory treatment have decreased by 63%. Marcus smiled. "That's excellent work, Valerie." "There's something else," she said, placing a handwritten letter on his desk. "I wanted to thank you. You could have destroyed my career. Instead, you helped me become better." "Sometimes the path to justice isn't punishment," Marcus replied. "Sometimes it's transformation. The true measure of success isn't how high we climb, but how many people we bring with us." As Valerie left, Marcus turned to the window, watching a Skyline jet soar into the clouds. The airline's new slogan glinted on its tail, "Rising together to higher ground."